Nope. It's not their finest hour. Oh, Adobe, Adobe, Adobe. I know I'm late to this conversation, but I felt I had to weigh in. I've been using their software for something like 30 years, and wow, that sounds different out loud. Jesus. Holy crap. Anyway, better content creators than me have already covered this. I'm going to put a couple of links below. Games from Scratch has been doing an excellent job because this story's been ongoing, actually. Louis Rossman, the Right to Repair guy, he also made a couple of less nuanced, but definitely more entertaining videos. I'll put links to those as well. If you watch them, though, be careful. You might dehydrate from all the salt. Very salty. The salt is strong with that one. But if you don't know, a couple weeks ago, Adobe started facing backlash for updates to its terms of service, particularly relating to the use of AI. And the controversy centers around the fact that Adobe thinks it has the right to use user data for training AI models. You know, it's funny too, because like the worst parts of the TOS, that stuff's been in there for a while, but nobody noticed until Adobe started having these screens pop up that said, oh, you have to agree to our new terms of service or you can't do anything, not even uninstall. It's like, wait, what? So people actually looked at the terms of service and was like, oh, this is horrible. And it's kind of bullshit. I mean, it's totally bullshit. I mean, this whole thing is bullshit. I was already suspicious of Adobe way back when I noticed the default save was to the cloud. You know, when the first time you try to save something out of Photoshop or certain other programs, they want it to save to the cloud and not one of your drives, one of your local drives. Right there, I'm like, okay, this is sus. And I actually had to Google, how do I change that? How do I make it go to my drives? How do I make it go to my system?
And it's not just about AI. The way the terms of service was written, the version that started off this controversy, they potentially had an unlimited license to whatever you save to the cloud. They could do whatever they want with it, hypothetically, in perpetuity. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Adobe knows, and some of their employees have even commented on it on Twitter and Reddit. I'm never calling it X. But some of them have commented, they know playing around like this jeopardizes them with every major studio, every major client. Most of these major clients, they make you pass excruciating security audits before you're even allowed to work on their stuff. You think they're going to let you save their multi-million-dollar footage with their multi-million-dollar IPs to some off-site cloud? Oh, we trust you, Adobe, because your terms of service say, trust me, bro. Some of these companies have verbiage in their contracts specifically about Adobe. And this was before all this AI crap. And the problem with Adobe and AI, it's the big elephant in the room, and I don't think anyone's talking about with Adobe and AI, is their biggest problem, and the reason why they need to steal other people's work. They feel they have the right to utilize people's work is because the problem is when you have a corporate entity like Adobe, a big corporate entity like Adobe, doing stuff with a tech like AI, they have to play by certain rules. Otherwise they are opening themselves up to so much litigation. You know, right now, OpenAI and Stability are facing a lot of backlash from artists, and there's a lot of stuff going on in court. But at the end of the day, Stable Diffusion, a lot of its projects are open source. So, if you're just some schmuck that makes an AI model, off of stolen artwork from ArtStation or scraped from all over the internet, and you're some random schmuck from God knows where on the planet, hiding behind an anonymous username and a VPN, odds are you're not getting sued. But Adobe can't play those Wild West games. Adobe has to play by certain rules. And because they have to play by those rules, because they can't steal art all willy-nilly and have to resort to these kind of scumbag tactics to get their hands on some art to train models with, they fall behind. And I started to make a video a while back about Adobe's AI because there was a big update and people were like, oh, Firefly is so much better now. And I decided not to finish the video because I was so horribly unimpressed. The entire video started to devolve into just me crap talking Adobe and how bad its AI is. And the sad reality is they couldn't keep up because they couldn't cheat. They can't get away with stealing on the level of what you see with other AI. Now they're trying to steal in their own way and they're rightfully getting busted. No sympathy. No sympathy. It sucks too because, Adobe, full disclosure, I'm still an Adobe customer. For the foreseeable future, it's unlikely I'm going to be able to cancel my subscription. But, they got too big for their britches and now they're burning for it. There are alternatives out there. They're not the only game in town, And actually, let me put up this graphic. This was from a tweet that I'm going to link below as well. And I'll post this graphic on my blog. I'll put a link to that as well in case the tweet ever goes anywhere. But there's plenty of alternatives to Adobe software. You'll never find a one-to-one. Like, nothing's perfectly one-to-one. Like, for example, one of the reasons I have to keep my Adobe subscription is because I rely on, my Photoshop action, and I won't be able to use them. Funny thing though, some of them I can't even use in the newest versions. I have to use the older versions of Photoshop, and Adobe doesn't want you doing that. But tough crap, because I'm going to keep using CS6 when I need it. Even if I were going to cancel, they do not make it easy. So just heads up if you have an Adobe subscription and you're thinking of canceling, they do not make it easy. There's no, first of all, it's not a monthly plan. It's an annual plan, billed monthly if you're not paying month to month. And there's no button for end renewal. There's no button for that. And if you want to cancel, they'll hit you with cancellation fees, but on the way to getting your cancellation, they'll throw all sorts of, oh wait, what about half off or 40% off? Or they'll throw you alternate versions of the same plan. I've been down that road. If you want to get the Creative Cloud at a cheaper rate, that's a good way to go about it. Act like you're gonna cancel, click through until you get that whole, okay, we'll let you have it for $40 a month or $30 a month instead of 60 or 70, whatever the hell it costs now. But if you do cancel, the alternatives are real. And, again, there's no one-to-one, but a lot of people are pointing to Affinity. A lot of people are running to Affinity. I can't speak to Affinity, but I've never heard a bad thing.
Well, they are owned by Canva, and that does concern some people. But I'm going to spend most of the rest of the video talking about Adobe alternatives that I can vouch for to some degree or another.
For Photoshop alternatives, Krita is dope. I've used Krita and I can stand by that one. I can stand by. Krita is dope. It's not great for typical photo editing. I tried making a YouTube thumbnail with it once and it was really awkward. But if you want to if you draw, if you do digital painting, you got a pen tablet, Krita's dope. But GIMP is fine. GIMP is your textbook free Photoshop alternative. As for Illustrator, can't really say much. I've used Inkscape and Corel Draw a little, but I don't work with Illustrator much these days. Adobe Animate. I've worked with Toon Boom, but it's not free. It's not, and at last I checked, it's not cheap. But you know what is cheap? And I played with not long ago, OpenToons. And OpenToons is kind of sick. OpenToons is cool for 2D animation. And it's good because Studio Ghibli stuff has been made in OpenToons. Adobe Audition. I don't do much audio stuff, but for what audio stuff I do, Audacity. Now, is Audacity the most stable program you'll ever come across? No. Is Audacity owned by someone that most people in its community trust with the future of the product and the brand? No. But is it an intuitive and really easy to use, fast-loading, lightweight, stable enough program? Yes, very much so. Absolutely. Totally gets the job done. Adobe Premiere, Sony Vegas, and DaVinci Resolve, those are the ones that people typically point to. I've only worked with Resolve a little, but DaVinci Resolve has a free version. And the interesting thing about that is it comes packaged with Fusion, which is a very viable After Effects alternative. Actually, there was a brief window, 2009, 2010, when people thought Fusion was going to pretty much replace After Effects in the visual effects industry. Now, things didn't shake loose that way. Instead, Nuke practically did. And if you're serious about visual effects, particularly compositing, Nuke it's Nuke or go home. If you want to work on big boy projects, I've probably done more Nuke work when I was in Hollywood working on film and television than anything else. If you want to work on big boy projects, it's Nuke or go home. But Nuke isn't cheap. Even the indie option for Nuke is expensive. So, Fusion might be something to look into if you're looking for After Effects alternatives. Or if something that works a bit more like After Effects, HitFilm. HitFilm's kind of fun. I've played with that a little. It's got that motion graphic-y feel of After Effects, but it can punch above its weight. HitFilm's pretty cool. But, yeah, there are options. There are options. If you're thinking about dumping Adobe, there are options. I think they need to be taught a lesson. And if you can bail, if you're in a position where it won't hurt you professionally to bail, I say do it. I wish I could join you. And if you're in my boat and you can't bail, pretend you're gonna bail. And then get one of those deals. Get one of those deals. At least you can cut them a little. Just a few thoughts and points to close this thing out with. As I said earlier, this is an ongoing saga. And since this whole fiasco has started, Adobe's tweaked the verbiage in their terms of service multiple times with varying degrees of vagueness. Most recently, as of the time of this recording, they claim that they can and do look at materials on the Creative Cloud. They can and do scan or have humans look at your materials. They're mostly looking for illegal materials, they claim. They cite they've recently cited materials. I'm not gonna watch how I say this. YouTube, materials that exploit minors. I think you know what I'm talking about. They also claim that they don't use material saved to the Creative Cloud to train AI, even though previous versions of the terms and service supposedly gave them that right, by their rationale, of course. But they do strongly imply that they have used materials submitted to Adobe stock to train AI. However, they also, in the most recent version of the terms of service, claim that they don't currently do that. And that's pretty shitty, because if you think about it, out of their users, those are among the people that would be hurt the most. Anyhow, currently, time of recording, their stock price is up on the month. They did suffer a dip during this fiasco, but they're as of right now, they're in the green with a bounce. However, it's not all rainbows and candy unicorn farts for them. Remember those fees, those cancellation fees I mentioned earlier? And how they're all tricky about, you canceling, there's no stop renewal method, Well, obviously their customers hate that. And you know who else hates it? The U.S. Department of Justice and the FTC. Uncle Sam's taking Adobe to court. Uncle Sam's supposedly holding Adobe to task. Now, the wheels of justice don't exactly move fast. So, to be continued.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to do all the YouTube things with bells and buttons, and then check out another one of our videos, like this one over here.